Suns versus Clippers, game 4, Nate. Let's talk about it. The Phoenix Suns defeated the LA Clippers 84-80 to take a 3-1 lead in the conference finals. This was overall what you call a defensive game. And I'm going to be honest, this was probably one of the best defensive games that we have seen in a very, very long time. Very rare now in the NBA, especially modern NBA, do we see games that stay in the 80s, for the final. Just the final score is in the 80s. Very rare do we see it. But overall, Nate, I'm gonna read the team stats first, and I'm gonna go to the individual stats. So team stats for the Suns. So field goal percentage, the Suns had 31 out of 86, which is a percentage of 36%. And the LA Clippers had 27 out of 83, which is a percentage of 32.5%. 3-pointers, this is kind of funny. The Phoenix Suns had 420. They had 4 out of 20. So for everybody who's smoking over there, you have something right there. 4 out of 20, which is a percentage of 20%. And the LA Clippers had went 5 for 31, which is a percentage of 16.1%. Free throws wise, this might have been something that the LA Clippers, could have capitalized on better. The Phoenix Suns had 18 out of 21, which is a percentage of 85.7%. And we know that the Phoenix Suns are a very good free throw shooting team. But the LA Clippers, Nate, get this, 21 out of 32, which is a percentage of 65.6%. That is something that could have definitely won the LA Clippers a game if they were to capitalize on their free throws. I feel like that is a factor to the reason why they didn't win. Total rebounds, Phoenix Suns had 59. The LA Clippers had 51. Blocks, the Phoenix Suns had 8, opposed to the LA Clippers 2. So that is definitely another factor right there. Steals, they were even at 4. Turnovers, Nate, get this. The Phoenix Suns had 14, and the LA Clippers had 10. Points in the paint, the Phoenix Suns had 42 compared to the LA Clippers 36. And then fouls, the Phoenix Suns had 27 fouls compared to the LA Clippers 19. Overall, Nate, this was a very, very defensive game. Now I'm gonna go to the individual stats real quick. So for the individual stats, points wise, you're not gonna see a lot of points. Okay, the one I can point to is Devin Booker. He led the Phoenix Suns with points with 25. He went 18 out of 22, which is a percentage of 36.4%, which is not the best. He had 2 steals, 2 rebounds, and he had 0 assists. Now, Chris Paul, he had 18 points. He had one steal. He had 7 assists and 4 rebounds, and he also had 4 turnovers, Nate, which could have been a lot better. And Devin Booker had 5. So that's something right there that definitely affected the Phoenix Suns. And then DeAndre Ayton, he had 19 points. He shot 8 out of 14 from the field, which is a percentage of 57.1%. He had 22 rebounds, and he had 3 turnovers. So, yeah, Nate, overall, this was a defensive game. And I'm going to go to the LA Clippers before I continue. So, the LA Clippers, Paul George, he had 23 points. He shot 5 out of 20, which was a percentage of 25%. He had 16 rebounds and 6 assists. So, overall, a decent game for Paul George, but he just overshot, Nate. You go to Ivica Zubac. He had 13 points. He had 1 steal, 1 assist, 14 rebounds, and he shot 5 for 8 from the field, which is a percentage of 62.5%. And then Reggie Jackson, he had 20 points. He had 4 turnovers, 1 steal, 1 assist, and 5 rebounds, and he shot 8 out of 24 from the field, which is a percentage of 33.3%. And last but not least, Terrence Mann had 12 points. He had 1 turnover. He had 1 steal, he had 4 rebounds, and he had 2 assists. And he shot 4 out of 9 from the field, which is a percentage of 44.4%. So let me get to this, Nate. Overall, what I think really cost the LA Clippers was free throws. You make 4 more free throws, you would have tied the game. You make 5 more, you would have won it. And it's as simple as that. And their free throw percentage was not that great. And overall, it seemed like nobody on this team knew how to shoot a free throw, Nate. Like, Paul George went 12 for 18, 66.7%. Guys I'm looking at it, Nate. Terrence Mann went 3 for 5, which is all right. DeMarcus Cousins went 1 for 2. So overall, people just weren't making their free throws, Nate. And that was definitely something. Like, they couldn't. As for the Phoenix Suns, I feel like what went very well for them, Nate, again, they did capitalize on their free throws, but the Phoenix Suns always do that. I feel like what really went well for the Phoenix Suns was probably, out rebounding them, 59-51. It was 8 more rebounds, but those 8 more rebounds definitely help you. And overall, both teams offensively were not that great, but defensively they were fantastic. And I think that overall the Phoenix Suns were just a tad bit better offensively, And like we said, the times that the LA Clippers been losing, it's been very, very close games. 1-point games, 7-point games, 4-point games. It's been very, very close games. Overall, Nate, I look at it and I think, I think that the LA Clippers could have did a little bit more offensively. A few more free throws synced in would have definitely helped. 3-point wise, they weren't very good. Like nobody this game offensively was that great. But I will point to one more thing that I mentioned in the last video. Okay, DeAndre Ayton. I'm gonna say this one more time. Run the offense through him. 22 rebounds, 19 points, 3 assists. Run the offense through DeAndre Ayton. That's your best chance to win and get a dominant win at that. Run it through DeAndre Ayton. And I feel like that's something that they're not doing enough. Like, that's just my opinion, Nate. I feel like that's something they're not doing enough. As for the LA Clippers, Nate, like you're scoring, you're doing good scoring. Like Paul George, Reggie Jackson, they're stepping up. But you're not. But to be honest with you, Nate, you're overshooting this game. You are overshooting. I'm going to be honest with you. The loss of Kawhi Leonard has definitely hurt this team. It has definitely hurt this team. Now, defensively, you were great, but offensively, like you definitely need Kawhi Leonard back. And again, we're not sure when he's going to come back. I'm going to be honest with you, Nate. Most likely, it's looking like he's not going to come back. So the LA Clippers gotta find a way. They gotta find a way. All 3 games that they've lost has been close games where the LA Clippers just couldn't capitalize on. They just couldn't do the extra things to get them to win. We talked about that with the first game between the Hawks and the Bucks. We said that at the end of the day, it was the little things that the Hawks did that got them to win over the Bucks. And that is true. It's the same thing for the LA Clippers. It's the little things that you're not doing that are giving the Phoenix Suns the win. Like free throw percentage, it was not that great this game. You could have, the rebounds wise, a few more rebounds could have won them this game. Simple as that. But overall, Nate, the LA Clippers got to do the extra things to win these games, and it's something that they're not doing. So, I believe game 5 is going to be today, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be on tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN. It's going back to Phoenix.
All right. So, I'm definitely going to check out that game. We'll see what happens, Nate. And to both teams, I'm wishing you guys the best of luck. But overall, this game, offensively, it was terrible. Defensively, it was fantastic. It's very rare you get to see a game in the modern era that the final score is in the 80s still. So, again, defensively, you guys did great. Offensively, it needs to be better. Everybody was just overshooting, in my opinion. So, with that being said, best of luck to both teams in game 5 today, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, best of luck to both teams in game 5 today. I love watching defensive games, Mar. I've talked about it many, many times. I love watching defensive games. I do. But when it comes to game 5, the Suns are in a critical moment. This is game 5. You have a chance to go to the NBA Finals. I think you need to step up on offense. Same thing with the Clippers. The Clippers need to do the same thing. And their free throws haven't been that great, Martin. I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to free throws with the Clippers, that's something they haven't been great at for the last couple of years. I feel like that's something that cost them last year, in a lot of key situations. It cost them in that situation as well. Year before that, they faced the Warriors, so there really wasn't much expectation there. But you get my point, free throws have really been costing the LA Clippers a lot of key situations, So when I look at the Clippers, they need to adjust better without Kawhi. Like you said, they're missing out on Kawhi Leonard, and I get that. But when you're missing out on Kawhi Leonard like that, you gotta adjust. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Mario, he's been sitting in the stands a lot. He's been sitting in the seats instead of with the team. Most likely that points to he's not coming back for the rest of the series. He's sitting in a box. If he's sitting in a luxury box in the arena, most likely he's not coming. Because if that was the case, he'd be sitting with his team. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's bad for Kawhi Leonard. I'm not saying that him not being with his team, is a bad thing. I mean, obviously with the COVID regulations, even though there's a vaccine, there are still COVID protocols. If he's injured, he probably can't be with the team. You know what I mean? Something like that. But when he's sitting in a luxury box with his family, most likely it just looks like he's not coming back. So if I'm the LA Clippers, first of all, I got to be better offensively, more specifically with the free throws, even with the 3-pointers, because both teams are going to be honest and not too good with the 3-pointers. And offensively in general, both teams weren't that great. So when I look at the LA Clippers, I think the biggest thing they need to do, they need to adjust without Kawhi. That's the only way they're gonna win. I don't think Kawhi's coming back for the series.
Right. I looked up Kawhi Leonard real quick just to see if I can get an update on his injury. I did not. He is ruled out for game 5, but I will say this though, Nate. This is some serious news. He will not be traveling with the Clippers to Phoenix.
Yeah, so he's probably gonna be at home. So most likely when I read stuff like that, most likely I don't think he's gonna come back this year. I really don't. Even if they go to the NBA Finals, I'm questioning whether or not he's gonna be back then too. He's dealing with an ACL injury. We still don't know the details of that. When you hear those 3 letters in the hospital, usually it doesn't mean anything good. So if I'm the LA Clippers and I really want to move on, you gotta adjust without Kawhi Leonard. It's just as simple as that. That's the biggest thing I'm doing. Obviously, I'm fixing up my offense a little bit, but you gotta play the game without him. That's just that. Now going to the Phoenix Suns, if I'm winning game 5, obviously defensively both teams did amazing, but offensively it just wasn't that great. So if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm pointing towards the stars. Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they need to step up a little bit more.
Agree.
You know what I mean? That's something that they really need. For them to,
right.
For them to absolutely dominate this team.
But overall, guys like DeAndre Ayton has been so consistent.
He's been very, very consistent. Absolutely.
Very good. Very consistent in a good way.
Right. So if I'm deep booking and Chris Paul, I'm stepping up, And they've been doing great. They've been doing a great job with this team. It's just in the series, they haven't really been stepping up all that much. So if I'm them, I'm stepping up. But overall, that's really it. This was a great game. Great defensive game. So I really enjoyed watching it. Game 5 again, it's on tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN. It's going to be in Phoenix, so make sure you go check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much my analysis of it. So with that being said, best of luck to both teams tonight, game 5. Again, it's on at 9 p.m., so make sure you go check that out, and we'll see what happens.